Hi guys, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. So we were having a discussion. We were filming a podcast um yesterday, and this morning it came to my attention that there are still some people who are still misunderstanding this part of the Bible and just twisting it around and talking of this part of the Bible that says wife should submit to their husband. The podcast was about abuse. There was a time I shared a video about abuse and in relationship where I was talking about there is more to abuse than just the physical abuse that we always talk about and talking about, oh, if it's not life threatening, then there's nothing to worry about too much or something like that. But anyway, I said I was gonna bring some people over to talk more about this. And it's turned out to be more of a series now because there's just so much to talk about, and we always need to talk about this. But just put that aside for a minute. Yes, I wanted to talk about this verse of the Bible that says, "Wives submit." That this is what we always talk. Some people always emphasize on and kind of twist it to suit themselves. So I want to kind of debunk whatever it is that you thought about this verse of the Bible. So that verse of the Bible is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. So I'm going to read from the King James Version. Wives, submit yourself unto your husband as unto the Lord. Thank God for different versions of the Bible now that we have. It's so numerous now that there is no way we can say we are just gonna stick to this and we are blind to what this verse of the Bible will mean, or we don't understand what the verse of the Bible will mean because there's just so many versions that makes it clearer for us. So I am going to go to, first of all, the message version of the same verse. It says, "Wife, understand and support your husband in ways that show your support for Christ. The husband provides leadership to his wife the way Christ does to his church, not by domineering, but by cherishing. Just as the church submits to Christ as he exercises such leadership, wives should likewise submit to their husband. Okay, husband, go all out in love for your wife exactly as Christ did for the church. A love marked by giving, not getting." I love what he said there. He said, "Wife, understand and support your husband in the way that you show your support for Christ." And then obviously the verse was referencing the husband leadership to that of Christ. And then he went on to say, "Husband, love your wife just like the way Christ loved the church." I love what he also said about not domineering, but cherishing. So there are conditions there. And there's one book I really would recommend us to read that really explains this, that really breaks it down for us. And it's called Understanding the Purpose and Power of Woman. Came across that book a few months ago, and I just read it, just like I read every other book. I read one of his book before that. That's Miles Monroe. I read one of his book before then, and it was something to do with kingdom principles. And then I came across this one when I finished that one. I came across this one. I thought, wow, this book is powerful. So this book really breaks it down. It really breaks it down, makes you really understand this verse of the Bible and many other things to do with women. I must say that when I read that book, I felt, I don't even know how to say it. It really made me understood. It really made me understood who I am as a woman. Not that I did not know that before, but it kind of just further kind of empowered me as a woman. It further gave me an understanding of my purpose, just like the book said, and the power that I carry as a woman. I would really recommend that you read that book as a woman and also as a man, so you understand. He was also talking about abuse. What is abuse? Abuse is misuse, and it was making a reference to how when when you buy something, you tend to just dump the manual, and then when something goes wrong, that's when you go back and start looking for the manual and thinking, okay, how does it's because initially you did not take time to really understand what this thing is all about, what the manufacturer wants this book, this item or electrical to be used for. But because you don't understand that, you misuse it. And they say you need to go back to the manufacturer or go back to that manual that tells you this is how you use it. This is how it's going to work well for you. That's the case with a relationship. Okay, and there's just so many other things there in that book, but I don't want to go too much for it. I just want to also read this same verse of the Bible, and I feel like this version just is just like mic drop for me. Just drop the mic and go. I don't need to preach anymore, honestly. And that's the same verse, but the amplified version. This is what it says. Wives, be subject to your own husband as a service to the Lord. But let's look at what that subject means. The wife to her husband, not to men in general, not as inferior to him, not in violation of our Christian ethic, but honoring our husband as a protector and head of the home, respecting the responsibility of his position and his accountability to God. Simples, mic dropped, boom, let's go home. Well, let's just go on because I went on in the other versions. So it says, this is verse 23. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is head of the church, himself being the savior of the body. But as the church is subject to Christ, so also wives should be subject to their husband in everything, respecting both their position as protector and their responsibility as God, and the responsibility to God as head of the house. Husbands, love your wife, seek the highest good for her, and surround her with a caring and unselfish love, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her. It's as simple as that. Just like I said earlier, if you think your wife is not respecting you or blah blah, then you need to check yourself as well. But I mean, it's not always clean cut as that sometimes. But it's just all about going back to the manual, going back to the manufacturer. But what I wanted to obviously emphasize here is that when they say submit, because this in this version is talking about subject. There was a version also, I think TPT even said that there is no Greek translation for submit. All it said is wife to her husband. That is what it says in that version. And I love what it said is wife to her husband. It's not to every man. So it's not for every man to be domineering a woman. It said not domineering, but cherishing and loving her. So what I really wanted to highlight there is that let's just get the simple, clear cut. Submission or subject or whatever is all about respecting the responsibility that God has given to them as the head of the house. It is not a right for the man to be domineering. It's not as inferior. It doesn't mean that they are inferior, because one thing I must emphasize as well is that God sees us as equal. In Galatians 3:28, that is what it says there. It sees us, there's no male and female. We are all one as far as it's concerned. But everyone has been given their own position. Our position as a woman is to support, is to respect our husband just as equally as the man. His role as well is to love and cherish and create a caring environment for the wife. So if one person is not playing that role, there's always going to be a problem. If one is at deficit as his role, then there will be an issue. So if everyone has a role to play, and that's a simple what it is. It's not about you being one is inferior to the other, because what you might even understand is that we are more we are a bit more powerful than okay? And because there's something he said, Miles Murray said as well, about women are quite powerful. Honestly, I've always known that we carry so much power. I've always believed that. And for you to even say that, I'm like, yeah, okay? Because any man that wants to misuse what the Lord has given them as a gift, you are ultimately hurting yourself. Because well, yeah, anyway, I know that there's so much I could say here, but I just wanted to finish by just saying that, I really I just cannot overemphasize how proud I am to be a woman, and our ability to just adapt. But the thing is that we're able to adapt. Women can take so much until they can take no more. Okay. So I hope this has blessed us. Thank you so much for watching.